So greetings of the day. I understand that people are from various countries. So when we good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. My name is Srinivasan Murli, and I'm going to, in the next 20 minutes, tell you about the cathodic protection system in Mahanagar Gas. So Mahanagar Gas is a city gas distribution company, and we have been in the city of Mumbai in the last 25 years. The first slide is, of course, telling you about Mahanagar Gas, which is the leading pipe gas distribution company in India. As I told you earlier, established in 1995. Earlier, it was a joint venture company between Government of Maharashtra, GAIL Gas, which is a public sector company, and we had in those days British Gas. British Gas, in fact, in the year 2010-11 was sold to Shell, and then Shell exited out of Mahanagar Gas in the year 2018. So now we are a listed company, and GAIL India Limited has 32.5% stake in Mahanagar Gas, and Government of Maharashtra has around 10%. And the balance is all held by public and other financial institutions. We have 480 kilometers of steel pipeline, and our vision is to provide safe and economical fuel to the domestic, which is the households, the industry, and the commercials, which are small hotels and eateries, and CNG vehicles. We are located in the western coast of India. Mumbai is constituted of 7 islands, which is a population of 1.84 crore. The population density in the city is around 20,482 persons per square kilometers. Highly densely populated city, and very limited corridor for laying pipeline. And in the same corridor, we have 5 or 6 or 7 utilities going. So it's a challenge to maintain our steel pipelines in the city. We have Arabian Sea to the west. The city has many lakes and rivers, creeks, mangroves, and swamps. The soil is sandy near seashore. It is alluvial and loamy in suburbs. The rock is black Deccan basalt rock. This rock we encounter when we go for deep well anode when we dig and we make a bore maybe around 50 to 60 meters down below, we get this Deccan basalt rock. The climate is tropical, and we have rains from June to September. The season for laying our pipeline starts from November and goes on till May. So it's very limited time to lay the pipeline. Very congested underground utilities. Above also is congested. Beneath also very congested. It's a real challenge to maintain the pipeline. A steel pipeline diameters is 2 inch, 4 inch, 6 inch, 8 inch, 12 and 18. So almost all sizes of pipeline we have. The reason for having these is because we have district regulating stations which take in the gas from the tap off from the main line. So that would be around 4 inches. Some CNG stations have pipelines of 2 inches, and the branch lines are normally 6, 8, and 12 inches from the main line. And the pipeline is API 5L grade B. Our systems are protected by electrical isolation and fracture protection. All pipelines are coated with 3-layer polyethylene coating, and we do have some section of pipeline of fusion bonded epoxy, but most of them are 3-layer PE. The entire network is protected with cathodic protection. So mitigation, corrosion mitigation in steel pipelines is by coating and cathodic protection. And the cathodic protection types are a sacrificial anode, which is known as temporary cathodic protection with a design life of 3 years. And we have impressed current cathodic protection system, which is a permanent cathodic protection, which has a design life of 30 years. We have TLPs, test lead points every 500 meters, and every 6 to 7 kilometers we have a TRE. The types of CP system in MGL, if you see, they are temporary CP and permanent CP. I'll briefly tell you about it. And every 3 kilometers we have sectionalizing walls. So we have IJs every 3 kilometers. So this IJs, we know at every sectionalizing wall we have temporary cathodic protection. And also wherever we have casing, we have IGL equations, crossing, sectionalizing wall location, everywhere, we have put TLPs and then we have put IJs also. The primary protection is coating and we supplemented with cathodic. The criteria for cathodic protection is accordance with a minimum negative voltage of 850 millivolts, and that's the first criteria, or a minimum polarized potential of 100 millivolts. So this is our condition for CP protection. The temporary CP is installed during the project phase, and then when after the project is completed, we install the permanent cathodic protection once the line becomes continuous. Because during the project phase, we are not able to, uh, continuously lay pipeline. There are certain sections which remain disconnected. So we have a temporary cathodic protection during the initial project stage. The design life for the temporary cathodic protection 3 years, while for permanent cathodic 30 years. Anodes, we use 2 kg, 5 kg magnesium anodes every 500 meters, and zinc anodes of 22 kg at the wall chamber locations. Every sectionalizing wall will have PCP of zinc anodes of 22 kg. For the PCP, we have MMO, with metal oxides, anodes, 6 anodes for a section of 6 kilometers. The PCP advantage is that it can mitigate interference to a large extent. Monitoring we do through TLPs, and we have also installed remote monitoring units on all TR units. Now, remote monitoring of TRUs, it's a GSM-based remote monitoring unit for data logging. Now, data messages are received in 2 designated mobile numbers, who are the people who are in charge for monitoring the network, and they get a message in their mobile number. And then we have integrated now the remote monitoring unit with our SCADA system. The SCADA system is of ABB, and all the RMUs, all the CNG stations are on SCADA units, all the sectionalizing walls are SCADA units, the relating stations are with the SCADA, and the remote monitoring units are also with the integrated with the SCADA system. Now, alarms under protection, over protection, reference fail, door open, and power fail. These are the alarms which we get in our SCADA or in the designated mobile numbers also. So you can see the various TR units and the date, time, what is the current, what is the amperage, what is the run hour, TR2 status. So this we keep getting on at regular interval so that we are able to understand what is happening to the TR units. And the schedule of monitoring the TR units is quarterly, and we have 48 numbers of TR units. Test lead stations is also quarterly, around 1300 numbers. Cased crossings quarterly, 117. All the anode ground beds, we do monitor them half yearly. We have got 12 numbers of them. ER probes quarterly. We have 63 ER probes and 72 corrosion coupons installed in our system. Internal ER probes also quarterly. We have got 8 numbers of internal ER probes. CIPL survey once in 5 years for a section of 480 kilometers. And based on the survey results of CIPL, we do DCUG survey to figure out where exactly are the defects. Now, recent developments in MGL cathodic protection, I'll tell you, we have installed 8 number internal ER probes on our steel pipeline network. So earlier we were testing these pipeline samples, what we used to obtain, because we do a lot of diversions when we do a lot of hot tapping. Diversions are primarily in those areas where because we have a metro, mono, and a lot of road widenings, and so we need to divert our pipeline. So wherever we divert the pipeline, we take a section and send it to the labs to analyze, what are the internal corrosion rate and what is happening to the pipeline. Now we have the ER probes internals we have installed in our network, and we measure the internal corrosion rate. The pipeline is in operation. So the internal corrosion rates for all the ER probes which we have installed, that we have found it to be within acceptable limits, which is 8 MPY. We are getting below 1 MPY as such. So the reason is the gas which we are getting from ONGC it comes through the entire gas. We have an LPG extraction plant, and then it's a sour gas. But then the entire, the H2S, everything is removed. So we get a very clean gas in our system, and that is what we have been getting for the last 25 years. So that's the best part of it. So uh, very little internal external damage to the pipelines, except that when people start digging and they damage the pipeline, or if they're putting some piling machine or something, then we get some dents in the pipeline. But in that case, we have to replace that particular section of the pipeline. We also do an AC interference surveys with software simulation and field trials for the entire steel pipeline network. This is being done as all the traction system has been converted from DC to AC. Earlier, we used to have DC traction, and we used to have diodes bonded to the railway tracks. It used to be a big challenge for us to monitor the pipelines, and to ensure that the pipeline there isn't excessive voltage which can result in cathodic disbondment. So, but during the course of last 6-7 years, the the suburban trains have transited from DC to AC. So we are now done with DC interference. Now we have AC interference, but that is not a very big challenge compared to DC interference which we used to have previously. Mitigation is done by installing zinc grounding anodes and with polarization cell and zinc ribbons wherever required. Now we do carry out extensive external corrosion direct assessment of our pipelines. Now currently we are doing it for the 60 kilometers of old pipeline which were installed in between 1995 to 2006 or 7. So those 60 kilometers we are now doing the ECDA, and we have around 130 kilometers of pipeline which is impacted by HVDC interference, and we are carrying out an interference survey of the same and installing mitigation measures of additional DRUs and grounding systems wherever required. Now, surveys which we have carried out, we do soil resistivity survey using 4-pin method whenever 4-pin once in 10 years. CIPL survey we do once in 3 years, and CAT survey on paved and concrete road. DCVG survey is done wherever we find CIPL readings abnormal. So we figure out where all we have putting damages, and we rectify it depending upon what are the IR values which we have taken. So this is the data, CIPS plus DCVG for fusion bonded epoxy. So if it is well drained, impress current CP, unpaved roads. For paved roads, we have to do CAT survey only. There is no other way. So ICCP, fusion bonded epoxy, or 3LP. So there we do CAT surveys, and for fusion bonded epoxy, poorly drained unpaved roads, we do CIS plus DCVG. Now the defect rectification strategy for us, and we are what we follow is a UK manual for DCVG. So as per that, 0 to 15% defect severity percentage are small defects. So these defects can be left unrepaired, provided the cathodic protection system is good and there are not too many coating defects in the proximity. Between 15 to 35% medium defects, these usually need repair. But we do these repairs whenever we get permission to do them, which is after October and before May, because end of May till October we have the permissions for any kind of repairs are not given by the municipalities. Between 35 to 75% defect severity, that is medium and large defect, and these we excavation, inspect, repair, and we fix the whatever is the coating defect, we have to fix it. And between 75 to 100 were large defects, these we do it immediately, and we try to finish it within that particular season itself. Now these are a couple of case studies which I'll be sharing with you. This is a case study of an AC interference mitigation which happens between Taloja to MSCB office, which is a stretch of around 4 kilometers. There's an 8-inch pipeline and 3LP coating, and it was protected by permanent cathodic protection. This pipeline segment was running parallel and crossing at a few locations at 220 kV and 100 kV transmission line. This 100 kV transmission, 220 kV transmission line is of the Maharashtra state transmission network, and we figured out, we identified locations where the induced voltage and current density exceeded the specific limits. The specified limits are 15 volts and 30 amps per meter square. Okay, so the normal load, full load, rated load, if I see the maximum induced voltage levels. So the AC voltage level is 15 volts, and the current density as per the standard is 30 amps per meter square. And what we were getting here is around the normal full load and the rated load is around 3.7. So voltage was not a big issue. Normal full load and rated load for the induced current we were getting 47.6. This was at particular location. So 24-hour data logging was done to cross verify the simulation result, and the results were found to be matching with the software simulation results. And then what we did was, if you see this graph, the induced voltage and the induced voltage limit, and the current also. So the current density at, if you see the section 2968 between and 3243, this was a section where the induced current density was very high, around 45 against what is required of 30. So once we got this confirmation, the next thing was we need to do the mitigation. So for a steady state simulation, the mitigation measures were designed as per the current data which was obtained from the machine. Now what we did was, the between chainage, this is the 00 to 5757. So the online voltage was 100 kV, and this is Maharashtra Transco, whatever you call Maharashtra MSEDCL, and this is the at Taloja, and the peak current what we found in 2018, and what was the rated current, and what was the mitigation current, and percentage of rated current for mitigation 80%. Now, so what we did, so for the steady state interference simulation, it has been designed based on rated load of the transmission line as per ISO 18086. The pipeline potential limit is 15 VRMS, and the current density should not exceed 30 amps. So what we did was, between these chainages, so we figured out that total anode requirement was 22 kgs, 4 numbers of total anode, 22 kg each. We have installed in these chainages. So at 0 to 2997, one anode, between 2997 to 30121, and between 3715 to 380, we have installed 2 amps of 22 kg each. And then zinc ribbon, we have installed 60 meters at 3012 chainage and 60 meters at 3808 chainage. And these are the places where, if you go back, you will find that we were having issues here. Now, once we did this, post doing it, you see the current density which has been done after this mitigation measures were done. We are well below 30 amps per meter square. So we then gave clearance for putting gas into the pipeline, because many big customers were there in this pipeline, and we were not able to commission them because we had this issue of AC current mitigation which we needed to do. Once we did this and we found things were okay, then we have given permission to commission the pipeline. Now this is another case study where we had an IGF failure at Intel Carport, and there Intel Carport is a CNG station which is very close to the Mumbai International Airport. Now this was the pipeline section between this Kamani wall chamber and Lila wall chamber. This section is around 4 kilometers, and we have a TR unit at this CNG station. This TR unit was, was good for this pipeline section of 4 kilometers. So what happens is during installation and commissioning, it was observed that the PSP at the drain point need to be maintained at minus 1.7 volt instead of minus 1.2 volt to reach the PSP at extreme end of minus 0.85. We found that the because it is a CNG station, the pipeline has to come out and go to the compressor. So we found out that the PSP was developing on both sides of the IJ at this TLP at the Intel Kapur. So we figured out that it is because of the IJ failure. So because it's an online station and then we cannot cut and replace the IJ, so we had put a flange isolation kit across the compressor section one. Now this is how it looks like. This flange, saying before installation, the PSP was TR output voltage was 6 volt, TR output cut was 3.9. This was the on potential, this is off potential, and after the installation of IJ, the PSP at the drain point, the on potential was 1.8 and the off potential was 1.2, and the extreme end, the pipe to soil potential was 0.88 and 0.82 respectively, on and off. So this, putting an insulation gasket at the suction of the compressor helped us to maintain the PSP at the drain point at the and at the extreme end also, because uh, what was actually happening is because the IJ failure, we were actually protecting, putting current into the compressor also, which is quite unsafe because it is a CNG compressor. So that's all I have to say on whatever we are doing at Mahanagar Gas in the last 25 years to, uh, you know, to maintain our CP system. And we are very proud that we have never had an issue of any kind of, corrosion related problems in our 480 kilometer section of steel pipeline. So I'll be now be open to any kind of questions you may have, and we will try our best to address or help you in designing or remote monitoring of your systems with the SCADA integration, SCADA, whatever you have. Anything you want us to do, we are ready to help, and we can also help you or assist the CGT company in designing their systems based on whatever experiences we have. So thank you so much.